Certainly, we can easily manage Koha. So today we will learn such things. Then we will learn free and open source software concept. Then software requirements for Koha, hardware requirements when we choose, when we plan to what skill sets we have to acquire to maintain Koha in the library. Then Koha releasing schedules, not like Zoll or any other proprietary software. Is, frequently release updates. We know about its cycles, then only we can manage it. Then types of Koha implementation, methods of Koha installation, and how to update with the latest uh, changes in Koha. Okay, we will start with compare with proprietary software and free software. We are familiar with Windows and we are master in Windows using it. Windows is easy to learn and easy to use, but we have to pay them money. Uh, Anyway, in Indians, majority of Indians use Windows, but it's proprietary, not uh, pirated versions of Windows. Same like pirated movies, we use pirated copies of Windows. Windows operating system, we have to pay them, but in real sense, we do not pay them because we use pirated copies, illegal copies. Uh, Sir, someone's mic is on there. Please mute Jagannath. Ah, okay. See the price of Windows 10 Pro, about 16,000 we have to pay. Windows operating system has different editions like Home Edition, Student Edition, and Professional Edition. Home Edition, about 10,000 we have to pay. The next edition comes, we have to again buy it. And we think that Windows is free. In real sense, that's not free. It's not free. We have to pay for it. Anyway, Windows is easy to use, but some other problems with Windows. That's not a problem. Some inconveniences. Not like Linux. A huge amount of update every time it come without our permission. It will download it to the PC and update it. When we start Windows or shut down Windows, it says that don't shut down now, updates in progress. We have to wait few more time. It may take 30 minutes or 60 minutes. Otherwise, we cannot shut down it. Another one more thing is that we have to buy additional softwares like antivirus to protect Windows from malwares and viruses. Then why we need to learn Linux is that Linux learning is very actually it's a not challenging, but it's a special culture. We have to learn many things. That learning is very interesting. As a Linux user, we will learn new things day by day. We will keep in touch with the community and open source software users. We learn new things day by day. It's very interesting. The reason is that open source code is open, everything is open. We can participate with them. No need to become a programmer to participate in the open source software. Suppose you can simply indulge in translating a software interface into your language. For example, Tamil, Malayalam, Devanagari. But in the case of Windows, everything is closed. We have no opportunity to learn anything. They do not open anything. We are just users, not owner of the operating system. Owner of the operating system is Microsoft company. We are just users. They do not give you the administrative power to enter inside the PC to learn the new things. But in Linux, everything is open. We can learn anything. We can customize anything. We can make changes there. See, in Linux, we get the utmost power. we get root. It's called root privilege, administrative power. We can change anything, we can try anything, we can learn anything. But in Windows, root is blocked or closed there. We can act as only a user, a normal user. It's a business secret, so they do not disclose their source code and other things. See, Linux is an operating system. It's a question. Actually, Linux is not an operating system. We have to learn from the scratch. Learn from scratch. This is not an operating system. Linux is the name of a kernel. Kernel is an interesting. It's a considered as a heart of any operating system. Uh, One Linux is an operating system kernel. Many operating system make use the Linux kernel. For example, your phone operating system Android. Android is a mobile operating system. Inside Android, they make use Linux kernel. In Ubuntu operating system, we can find they use Linux operating system. Sorry, Linux kernel. Linux is a kernel. The main task of kernel is the heart of any operating system. Uh, it communicates with the devices and main things controlled by the kernel. That's the main function of a kernel. For example, suppose we watching a movie in the laptop. We are in a Ubuntu operating system. When we increase the volume of the computer, we move the button, it give an instruction to the kernel pass the instruction to the device, and it take necessary action to increase the sound of the speaker. If you click on a print button, the kernel receive the instruction and give the device instruction to print the document. That's a function of the kernel. That's very important part of an operating system. See, this is the milestones in Linux kernel. 1985, Richard Stallman and a team started an initiative called Free Software Foundation. Their main aim was that to create a Unix-like operating system. Unix at that time was the popular operating system. That's a proprietary one or a commercial one. If we want to use it, we have to pay them the money. The company, we have to pay them the money. But Richard Stallman, they are not like the way the operating system pay for it. They started foundation and started to build an operating system same like Unix. They could develop everything or every components for an operating system, but they failed to develop a kernel, the heart of the operating system. And their project stalled there. Some problems found, and they could stop there. And in 1991, a Finland computer science student called Linus Torvald, he was also in developing a Linux-based, an operating system. He succeeded in developing a kernel, and he could not move further. He needed the help of others. He prepared the source code of the kernel and he released it in the internet with a note that he invited others to make use it. He allowed others to make use the source code free of cost. Okay, that was a perfect kernel source code or program. Others borrow that source code and make use it for building operating systems. Okay, many people started to build operating system using the Linux, the kernel developed by the Linus Torvald, and the components developed by Free Software Foundation. the project of Free Software Foundation is called GNU Linux. GNU, GNU, not Linux. That's a full form. Um, they they made use Linux kernel and GNU components and started to build operating system. Such operating systems are called GNU Linux. Different projects started in 1992. The first such license, okay, no, 1993, Debian. That's a very popular Linux operating system, Linux-based operating system, released in 1993. And later, many Linux operating system released like Fedora, Tax Linux, then first commercial Linux-based operating system arrived that's called Red Hat. They used Linux kernel, but others have to purchase the license also. That's a commercial Linux-based operating system. Then in 2004, Ubuntu arrived. They made use the Linux kernel and just build an operating system on the architecture of Debian Linux. Arrival of Ubuntu um, made Linux-based operating system more popular. They introduced a very user-friendly desktop or interface. Because of that, others could easily manage Linux. Earlier, Linux was ugly. It was very popular. It circulated among only programmers and other techie people. With the arrival of Ubuntu, it became very popular. Common people installed Ubuntu for their home use and office use. Okay, in 2008, mobile operating system Android released. They made use the Linux kernel for their operating system. In 2012, Raspberry Pi, it's a single board computer. They also made use a Linux-based operating system. I will tell in detail what is single board computers. These are the milestones in Linux-based operating system. This is the hardship of many a group of people, thousands of people. Their work was very voluntarily, so they could develop good products for the well-being of the entire people. Anyway, we make use open source and free software synonymously. Both words, their aim is same, but their philosophy is different. Uh, anyway, the end product is free software. The common users can download it and use it. But their philosophical background is different. Open source is a development technique. I will show you an example in the next slide. Technique means big companies want to develop software. They have a small group of programmers. A small group have their own limitation to work for a big software project. They publish the source code in public. Then initially they started the development and they release the source code in public, make it open source, make it open, and invite others to work on it. And the more people will take part in the project and start develop the source code. By the way, it will on the way it will getting improved. Many people work on it, we will get a good product. That's it's a development technique. uh, that's a trick. Many companies follow it to develop more good software projects. Then Sun, Apple, Netscape, even Google apply the technique of open source, um, develop good softwares and services. At the same time, contrary, free software movement is different. It's a political philosophy. Uh, they have some social reasons to develop software. Their aim is that it will be free from any commercial interest. The final product will be free from any commercial system, we need to call Ubuntu, Debian, these operating systems in general, Linux-based operating system. It means Linux kernel they make use to build the software operating system. Anyway, it's a zero cost of software acquisition. No need to pay any amount. We can just download it and install it. It's suitable for personal and enterprise use. We can install it on our laptop. At the same operating system, we can install it on our library server to install Koha or DSpace. But Windows, they have Home Edition and Professional Edition and many other editions. We have to pay the money for each edition. Then it's more stable because reason is that many voluntary developers and other team working for the software. The main concept is that more people working on it, it will become more stable. Okay, a small group of developers work on the software. It takes time to become mature. We are One example is that, for example, Soul Software by InflipNet, a small team of software team working on it, but they took 10 years to develop a new edition. For a small team, very difficult to develop more feature. It take too much time. But in the case of free software, that's not a difficult thing. Thousands of people work on it. So, for example, Koha, more people work on it. They can release a new version in every 6 months. In Ubuntu's case, every 2 years they develop a major version. Every 6 months they will develop a inter, some unstable versions. Another reason is that Linux-based operating system requires less disk space and memory and other hardware requirements. That's a good example. I can say that suppose if you wish to install Windows 11 on your old PC, it does not work. It will require minimum 8 GB RAM. But suppose you have an old machine, but its hardware is good, very minimum RAM and storage. You can install an appropriate Linux-based operating system in it. We can make it workable. We can install a lightweight Ubuntu in it. We can work. It's workable. In the case of Windows, it require a lot of hard. It consume too much computing power. The rise of Koha. Earlier, only proprietary software was in the library field. See, in 2000, Koha arrived. Earlier, it was very basic modules. At that time, not comprehensive, not mature. And later, day by day, more people joined with the Koha project in 2010. It arrived in India, and many libraries in India started to use Koha. Now it's very mature, comprehensive library management system. It can act as an ILS. We can make use it as a digital library. At the same time, we can make use it as a content management system. It means we can make use online catalog interface of Koha as a website. No need to maintain a separate library website. We can make use of OPAC as a library website. We can display their news and other things regarding the library. Then more integration options. For example, suppose you would like to integrate RFID devices into Koha. It's possible. It support RFID standards and it follows all kinds of library standards. We can integrate with anything. Integrates with many technologies and other services. One example is that suppose you want to display book cover on OPAC. We can establish a connection from Koha to Amazon or Google Books. From there, it will take book cover and display for you. Display on the OPAC. See, different Koha implementation context we have to learn. One is, suppose you are working on a proprietary software. Every year we have to give them some AMC to maintain the software. Most of the proprietary software charge very high fees. You have decided to stop the proprietary software, your data, book details with you. We have to, suppose we want to export it from old software to new version, old software to Koha. We have to migrate the data from the old software to Koha. Next is upgrade from a very old version of Koha to the latest version. That means uh, 10 years, suppose you are join a library, their Koha installed 10 years back, still it works well, no hardware problem. But after 10 years, Koha latest version available, it has many new features there. Uh, Migration from very old version of Koha to the latest version is a Herculean task, chance of data loss. We have to be very careful, upgrade from very old version of Koha to the latest one. 10 years back, we installed uh, Ubuntu 12.04 LTS version. In 2022, the latest version of Ubuntu is 22.04. Upgrade from the 10-year-old Ubuntu to the latest direct upgrade will collapse your system. Okay, the third option is Koha installation from scratch. Suppose your library has no computer and no automation software, no need to worry about it. Buy a computer and install Koha fresh and start the work from scratch. Okay, we just installed an Koha. It's running smooth. Suppose an error happens, what will do? You are not a master of Koha, and you have no Linux knowledge. In such cases, Koha community and every open source software community gives some two kinds of support. One is community support, one is commercial support. Community support means they will give you a very detailed documentation of everything. Everything means, for example, if installation manual and the user manual, very comprehensive user manual, and other technical documents they will make available in their website. And they also maintain discussion forums. We can keep in touch with the developers and the users. We can place queries, requests, and doubts there. They will give answers. The second option is commercial support. You are working in a library. You are very busy there, lot of works there. You have no time to maintain Koha. You can approach a company or person to manage this Koha. We have to pay them money. But if you have time and you have curiosity to learn these things, we can opt community support. Okay. Anyway, if you choose community support or commercial support, we definitely learn the technical requirements of Koha implementation. Then only we can prepare a proposal and give it to the college authority or university uh, authority to inform your plan to move into Koha. See, Koha, we can install it on Debian-based operating system. It means either we have to choose Debian or Ubuntu Linux-based operating system for Koha installation. The reason is that it does not work with Red Hat, Fedora, or any other uh, Linux operating system. Debian is a different Linux-based operating system. It has their own architecture, their own package manager. In Debian, they have a Debian packages they support. Fedora, they support Red Hat packages. Both are different. Debian is very popular among programming community. So the developers choose Debian as an installation base for Koha. Debian is more open and mature than Fedora. See, in India, Fedora and Red Hat was very popular few more years back. Now we are familiar with Ubuntu. The second thing is we need a relational database management system. Uh, Koha use MariaDB or MySQL. Anyway, by default, it support MariaDB. MariaDB is a kind of RDBMS, same like MySQL. MySQL was an open source is an open source software, but it's lost its open nature recently. Oracle acquired this company, so the same make the developers created another project. Open source the open source enthusiasts start another project, make using the same MySQL source code, and build started the initiative called MariaDB. It's a really free software. Second is Apache Web Server. It's a tool very required to run websites. Koha has web interfaces, so we need to install Apache Web Server. It's a pure open source software. Then Perl programming language. By default, it available with all Linux-based operating system. No need to install separately. Another important thing is a search engine. It required Koha make use both Zebra and Elasticsearch. By default, Zebra is the default search engine. The main function of search engine in Koha is that when we, after creating a catalog, when we search for the book in staff interface and opaque interface, the system has to find and give you the result. That's the purpose of search engine. That's a software search engine called Zebra. They also support Elasticsearch. We can choose between Zebra and Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch is a very smart search engine, and we are familiar with the DSpace. DSpace uses a search engine called Solar. Solar is very searching capability is very high. It can search the full, even the full text. For example, text inside a PDF file. Anyway, Koha's a similar search engine is called Elasticsearch, same like Solar. Very smart search. In near future, Elasticsearch will become the default search engine of Koha. See, and one more thing, Koha plugins. Plugins means a small kind of programs developed for a special purpose. We can add it on the software anytime. That's developed by third party or Koha developers, developed for special kind of purposes. For example, you want to display newly added book jackets flashed on opaque front page. We can install the plugin from the website and add it to the Koha. That function will work. That is called the Koha plugins. And hundreds of Koha plugins available. We can choose different plugins for different purposes add to Koha. Suppose we want to take a database backup from Koha staff client. No need to apply any command, MySQL command to take backup. From the same Koha web interface, just click on a button, database will download into your system. That's the purpose of Koha plugins. One more, many library professionals frequently ask this question. Koha can install on Windows. Earlier, Koha has a Windows version, but it stopped on 2004. I still remember it. In 2004, they stopped the project. Anyway, the developers prefer Linux operating system for stable functioning of any software. any enterprise uh, level software. So they choose Linux-based operating system as the base. Anyway, you can, if you want to use Koha on a Windows operating system, that's not a problem. Install Koha on a Linux operating system in the server. Make available Koha in the network. Call Koha from the server to a Windows operating system. Open a browser there. Open Koha there and use it. Your Koha server may be a cloud server. Otherwise, it may be a physical server situated on the campus. That's not a matter. We can make available Koha in a network. It will act as a website. We can call the software from a browser, use from a browser. Okay, developers has more control on Linux-based operating system than Windows. Windows has some few more other problems. Windows is not an open source one. If you use Windows for Koha installation, it's not possible anyway. Total cost ownership will increase. For a library, software may be free. We have to invest it on operating system. We have to buy a professional edition or server edition of Windows. Server edition Windows, it's highly costly. Then we have to buy antivirus software to protect Windows. We have to buy RDBMS, commercial RDBMS. These things are very costly. We have to spend too much money for implementation. In the case of Koha, Linux is Ubuntu is free, Koha is free, Apache is free, and other components required to install Koha is entirely free. See, next we will see what are the skill set required to maintain or install Koha. We have to acquire some skills successfully manage Koha in your library. First is some Linux basics. Linux is not like Windows. Its architecture is different. We have to basics of its file structure. We have to familiar with the commands. Next, we have to learn database basics, MySQL or MariaDB basics. Both are same. Then we get an idea of how a computer network works. Then only we can make available Koha in a network, in a campus network. Then keep in touch with the latest updates. How to keep in touch with the latest updates? In free software community, lot of things are changing day by day. Lot of features, functions are they introduce every day. We have to know these things, otherwise we will become old. Then some copy and paste skills. In the case of Linux, commands are very ugly and in the initial stages may be difficult to digest it. First time if we type the commands, some spelling mistakes may happen, and some commands are case sensitive. If we when we type the command, if we miss any space or anything, it will not work. In such case, we have to depend on Google. We can find commands for each purpose, copy the commands and paste it on the terminal. Then we need a lot of curiosity to learn, watch these developments, and we have to learn it. We have to try it and apply it in these things in our workplace. As a librarian, it's not a difficult task. We learn a lot of things. Even we learned column classification, very difficult thing. We can easily learn Linux and other open source things. See in detail what are the things in Linux basic we have to learn. First thing is open files using text editors. In Windows, we can just open open files and make changes there and close it, save it and close it. In Linux, it do not work. We need appropriate permission and permission to open the file, and we have to know about its location. and we have to open it using a text editor. We have to open it. We have to learn the command, appropriate command for that. Not like Windows, we have to familiar with these things. Then copy and move files and folder from one place to another place. In Windows, we can simply copy the folder from one place and put it on another place. In Linux, it does not work. In system files, we have to apply the command to copy or move, copy or cut and copy files and folder from one place to another place. Then some scheduled jobs. For example, we can schedule the backup of Koha, your library close at 8 p.m. We can schedule the backup at 8:15 p.m. It will take a backup daily without any intervention. It will automatically take the backup, keep it in a cloud space. It will be safe there. Suppose your system crash, don't worry about it. Download the backup and restore it into Koha. And file permissions. Linux has another specialty is the file permission. We have to change the permission of system files. Otherwise, it will not allow to make changes on it. I will tell you in detail what is file permission. Then Debian and Ubuntu basics. Anyway, Ubuntu and Debian is a Linux-based operating system, but it has their own peculiarities. Its package management is different. For example, Debian and Ubuntu make use deb packages. Package means, suppose we know about VLC player. VLC player is a multimedia player. We can play music and movies in Android and Linux. Suppose we want to install VLC player, we need in Windows VLC player, we can download it. Its extension is .exe. In Linux, .deb, that's a package extension. That's a difference. So we have to manage these deb packages, how to install it, how to uninstall it. These things we have to familiar. Then suppose you want to install Indesk or TeamViewer for remote access. You have Koha, some problem happened. One of your friend extend the help. He says that please install TeamViewer or Indesk. I can solve the problem sitting there. In such case, we have to visit the TeamViewer website and download the deb file and install it into Ubuntu. These basic things we have to learn. Then some database management skills like create and delete databases, database backup and restore, manage database using commands. These things we have to manage, you apply commands. These commands you may feel strange, but it has their own purposes. But we can manage these things, these ugly database through web interfaces like PHP MyAdmin. I will tell you in detail later how to manage databases using PHP MyAdmin. Then familiarity with SQL query. To communicate with the data inside the tables, we have to make use of a language called SQL query. Using that query, we can collect information and display it as a report. Suppose you want to generate the entire list of books in your library, we have to apply SQL query to display, collect information from the different tables inside the database and furnish it on a Excel sheet. See, we have to prepare ourselves. We have to do a lot of homework. We have to learn many new things to successfully implement and run Koha in the library. See, many mistakes from librarian's side to manage these things. No regular update with the latest developments, and we still in the Sol era. Sol, it developed, I think Sol version 1 released in 2000, Sol 2 version released in 2010. 10 years it took to release another version, and still libraries professionals think that Koha Once they install Koha, they think that after 10 years we can expect the next release. Not so. They will release a major version every 6 months. Every month they also release an updates. Okay, so we have to keep in touch with the developments, which is the latest version, and which is the monthly update. These things we have to learn. Then minimal or no participation in communities. Don't stay away from the community, Koha community. We have to join the groups, Facebook group, email groups there, and we have to go through the messages there, and we can catch the latest developments there. And the library is reluctant to use all modules with Koha. Most of the libraries make use Koha modules like cataloging, patterns management, circulation, and OPAC. Uh, Serials module, acquisition module, they do not rarely use the libraries. Then libraries still follow manual methods. Okay, they are not ready to throw away library card system for circulation. Then no effort to acquire skill set on Linux to manage Koha in-house. Anyway, we have to familiar the basic things. If anything wrong happen, a friend ready to help you. He says that or send the commands by email, just apply it. The problem will solve. You need to learn these how to apply a Linux command. Then another big issue is that if we are not familiar with these things, it will lead to more problems. For example, if we install Koha, we have to manage many username and password. For example, first is we have to first is the username and password of Ubuntu. Second is username and root password of MariaDB, then username and password of Koha database, third username and password of Koha. We are confused with the password system and password schema, and we forget all these things. When a trouble happens, we need to access these things. We need username and password. This didn't mention in any diary or anywhere. That make lot of problem. Okay, we have to accept the changes. Day by day, lot of changes happens, lot of developments going on. We have to keep in touch with the latest developments. I will tell you few such examples which crashed others Koha. One is no login using DB username and password. Onwards Koha version 18.04. That's a problem with earlier. Koha has only a one username and password. That's same username and password of Koha database. Okay, the same username and password of MySQL Koha database. Using that, we can login into Koha. Anyway, the developers recommend that don't use that master username and password login into Koha. First, you login into that master username and password. Then you can create a staff user and a password for daily Koha usage. But library Koha usage, forget it. They make use the same master database username and password to login. They didn't create any staff user account. And 18.05, they stop the system, stop using master database login. Okay, without knowing this, library professionals upgrade the Koha system to 18.05. They could not log into Koha. They had no staff username and password. That made a lot of problems in many libraries. The second is MySQL to MariaDB. Koha accepted MariaDB as a default database, but many library personnel didn't know about it. Okay, then it also created many problems. Then third example is Google turning off less secure app access to G Suite account. Um, that means uh, libraries made use Gmail to send notices from Koha. For that purpose, we have to connect Gmail account into Koha using any email server called Postfix or Exim. Earlier, they followed a different types of integration to any third-party software. Google changed their policy. They changed to more secure uh, app access. It means they enhance the security of the Gmail. Uh, they they introduced a different schema. After introduced that schema, old integration with the Koha it didn't work. They stopped sending messages from Gmail, and people didn't know about it, and they asked about what happened, why my emails not sent. Actually, that's the reason Gmail, Google announced many times this about, and in forums it mentioned we had to change it to new schema. Okay, next we will see for implementation of Koha, uh, what is the best Linux distribution for Koha? We mentioned that Debian or Ubuntu is the ideal or prescribed Linux-based operating system for Koha installation. But we have to learn few more things regarding the selection of Linux-based operating system for Koha. See, one is the choice of the desktop. Suppose your system may be very old, you have a small collection of books there. Uh, in such old systems, Ubuntu with Genome desktop. That I will show an example how Ubuntu with Genome does not work. It's very heavy. We have to apply there. We have to use there a lightweight Ubuntu called XFCE or LXDE. Otherwise, system will become slow. Then we have to choose a supported version of Debian or Ubuntu with Koha. We are not aware about the changes in Ubuntu versions. Every 2 years, they release a new master, a stable version of Ubuntu. Every 6 months, they will release an experimental version of Ubuntu. Experimental version of Ubuntu not suitable to install for production purpose. We have to choose the LTS version, long-time support version for Koha installation. They will mention very clearly in the Koha installation manual which version of Ubuntu or Debian we have to use for the installation of latest version of Koha. We can take a break for 10 minutes. We will return at 8:10. Okay. Welcome back.
Sir, I think may sir, I think we should proceed with.
Okay, okay, okay.
I think sir, we should proceed with no.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, welcome back. We last mentioned about the suitable Linux distribution for Koha. Um, See, in the Koha installation manual, they update which Linux-based operating system we have to use for Koha installation. See the screenshot there. Uh, which version of Debian and Ubuntu support for Koha latest versions. The old versions are obsolete. We have to avoid old version to install latest version of Koha. We strictly follow their Koha wiki. I will show in detail how to use this Koha wiki for uh, Koha installation. We have to read in detail before the installation of Koha, their wiki, um, Koha wiki. They mentioned the latest things there. What are the changes we have to follow when install Koha? See, some Ubuntu-based distributions are resource hungry. It will slow down the old computer. In if we use old computer for Koha installation, we have to choose a lightweight Linux-based, Ubuntu-based operating system for Koha installation. See, this is the familiar Ubuntu flavor, default flavor. It comes with Genome Desktop. Desktop gives graphical interface. The wallpaper, slide panels, this belongs to desktop. It gives visual appeal. Genome is the default desktop of Ubuntu. It's very heavy and resource hungry. A minimum system with the minimum requirement to use Genome desktop is 8 GB is not enough. 8 GB, sorry, 4 GB is not enough. 8 GB is enough to install Genome desktop, and a minimum i3 processor with the latest generation we have to use. It consume too much RAM and processing power. Better to avoid these heavy Ubuntu flavors to install Koha. See, suppose if we want to download any Ubuntu, suppose if we want to latest version of Ubuntu, we just make a search in first we make a search in Google, but first we see the default Ubuntu with Genome website. If we click on it, it leads to the default Ubuntu. And it comes with the Genome desktop. It's very heavy. This is not the ideal desktop for Koha installation. It take too much computing power. We can download it from where here, but it's not the ideal place to download the uh, required Linux Ubuntu flavor for Koha installation. See uh, how it works if we install a heavy Ubuntu with the Genome desktop on a old computer. This will be the situation. Koha does not get any computing resource. Both computer and Koha become very slow. See, which is the ideal Ubuntu flavor to install Koha? I suggest Xubuntu desktop. It comes with XFC desktop, one of the lightest desktop with Ubuntu. We can make use it. It require minimum 1 GB RAM, minimum RAM, and i3 computer. This is enough to run a small Koha installation. I will tell in detail how to download, how to select and download these things from their project websites. Ubuntu has different flavors or distributions. See here, if you want to download Xubuntu, it's a different project. We have to search for Xubuntu. Xubuntu in Google, go to the website. It's a different website. If you want to download it, click on Get Ubuntu and download. See, this is latest stable version is 22.04. These are the server mirror downloads. Mirror means it is located on different server on different countries. Always choose a server located our near place. For example, in India, no download server is there. So we can choose a neighbor server like Thailand and Thailand or Japan. Japan is not near. Anyway, choose Thailand. It will download the ISO file very fast. Okay, one more Ubuntu distribution is Lubuntu. Lubuntu make use the desktop LXD. See, download it. Click on download link. Install the latest version 22.04. Anyway, depends upon the hardware capacity. Choose an ideal desktop for the system. Okay, I suggest Xubuntu or Lubuntu. Then, how to then download the ISO file, then burn it on a pen drive or DVD. One useful tool to make install medium is called Vendoi. Okay, in normal case, we write ISO file into the entire pen drive. Okay, only one Ubuntu, only one Linux operating system we can install it on a pen drive. Okay, if you want to write another operating system, we have to again erase the entire thing. To avoid such situation, we can make use a tool called Vendoi. Suppose you have a pen drive with 32 GB storage or 16 GB storage. In Windows or Linux, you can install the software Vendoy, insert the pen drive, format the system. There is a folder inside. We can place the ISO file there. We can place 2 or 3 Ubuntu ISO files inside it. Okay, no need to format it every time. When we put the pen drive into the system, boot from the pen drive, it will the list out the Linux ISO files inside the pen drive. Suppose you have a Debian, Ubuntu, Linux Mint is there, it will list 3 Ubuntu operating system. Just to choose one and proceed. You can install first. Suppose if you press on X Ubuntu, it will go to X Ubuntu. You can install it. Okay, try to use Vendoy. No need to every time we have to format. No need to format the pen drive to accommodate Linux operating system. Next is hardware selection for Koha. Okay, what kind of hardware we have to select? We have to consider budget, the number of records in your library, the number of users and the transaction per day. These things we have to consider to select a hardware. Hardware means your computer, for example, you want to print, you have to buy, you have to print out spine labels and other things. You have to buy a printer. Then you want to scan barcode and QR code. You have to buy a QR code reader. These things we have to consider. Suppose you have a 25,000 records or 50,000 records in your library books, number of books in your library, about 500 users, a college, maybe 500 students, 100 transactions per day. We can consider a desktop computer with i5 processor and 16 GB or 8 GB RAM. It can easily handle this number of records, users and transactions. For example, in our university, we have 3 lakhs records. We install Koha in a very basic server. It costs around 60,000. It has a 16 GB RAM and a Xeon processor. It has some clock speed there. I will tell in detail what is clock speed. It very smoothly handle 3 lakhs records and 10,000 users. See, we have to also select a suitable hardware type: desktop, workstation, server, and a cloud. In small libraries, no need to buy a server computer. They install and manage Koha from a ordinary desktop computer. When we open the library, they switch on the PC. When we close the library in the evening, we switch off the desktop. For that purpose, ordinary desktop computer is okay. Then suppose you have lot of records and a heavy duty machine. We have to buy a workstation PC. Workstation PC means it's an enhanced version of desktop. It can handle lot of data. Then server computer is a kind of computer, but it can have heavy duty purpose and no need to switch on and switch off every day. Okay, this is built for 24-hour work. Cloud means server or server setup in cloud or somewhere else. We place the Koha installation there and manage from our library. No physical computer. See, suppose we are going to buy a computer to install Koha. We have to place order for the PC. We have to specifically mention the requirements of the hardware. For example, which processor we need. For example, Intel Core i5, Intel Core i3. That's a server sub brand. I mean server series. Sorry, processor series. Inside each series, we can find many processor with different clock speed. For example, Intel Core i5 3.1 gigahertz, 3.5 gigahertz available. Its price varies. Don't mention there only Intel Core i5. Also mention there the clock speed gigahertz. Then specifically mention the RAM size 8 GB, for example. Then memory type. We can choose HDD or SSD memory, as HDD is old generation memory. SSD is the latest one. It's very fast. It makes your system more fast. The next thing, whether we need an operating system preloaded with the PC. Anyway, if we didn't mention specifically Linux or FreeDOS, they will supply the system with a preloaded Windows. We have to pay them the price of the Windows license. So, specifically mention there operating system, Linux or FreeDOS. FreeDOS means is a minimal operating system. We can install Ubuntu over it. See the difference between SSD and HDD. Old computers make use HDD storage. It's a slow technology. Data transfer is very slow. It also affect the performance of the PC. The latest technology is SSD. It's same like a pen drive. Uh, Data transfer is very fast. If we install this SSD in a PC, its performance will boost. I will show you the price of SSD storages. Go to Flipkart. Suppose you have an old laptop and it's very lagging, you can buy an SSD storage for laptop. The same we can make use in a desktop. See its price range 240 GB. We have to pay 1750. Earlier, 240 GB we have to pay about 4,000 rupees. Now its price decreased. 1 TB we have to pay 6,000 rupees. Earlier we had to pay 10,000 rupees few months back. But HDD very cheaper than SSD, but in performance wise SSD is better. Suppose you have a very old PC, very slow, we can replace old HDD and put a new SSD. It will make your laptop very fast. That's the difference. Okay, specifically mention SSD or SSD or HDD. Choose SSD. Also mention you need 560 GB or 1 TB size. Koha does not consume too much storage. 560 GB is enough for a standard size library. For example, in our library we have 3 lakhs records. Our database backup size is only 1 TB. See, desktop work versus workstation. Workstation is heavy duty purpose. Its processor may be a little bit different. In ordinary computer, ordinary desktop, we can find Intel i3, i5 or i7. In desktop workstation PC, we can find a high class processors like Xeon processor. That's a server class processor. We can find it in workstation PC. That's for heavy duty purposes. These workstation PC we can buy from different brands. They have their own sub brands for workstation PCs. For example, Dell company's workstation PC brand is called Precision. Then Lenovo ThinkStation and HPC. These are the names of workstation PCs of different brands. It can handle graphics and other things in a well manner. Not it does not like desktop, but it's heavy duty workstation handles these things very smoothly. Then suppose you have a good network and a computer backup and you are Koha, how to need to on 24-hour, you can buy a server class machine. You have power backup and network and facility to make available your Koha in internet. It's okay. You can buy a server class computer. Anyway, it does not cost much. A basic, it has basic and high different requirements. We can buy different kinds of server. For basic servers are available. It does not cost too much. For example, HP Proliant, that's a server class machine series. ML series, very cheap, about 60,000 rupees. We can buy a basic server machine. You can check the price of HP Proliant ML series. Suppose you have an idea about this process, just search in Amazon or Google. Check the price of the server, HP Proliant ML10. See. Unavailable. See the specification: Intel Xeon, 8 GB, 8 GB RAM, Intel Core i3, not Intel Xeon processor. Check. Okay, its price about see about 15,000 rupees we can buy. When we buy a server, we only get the box. We have to additionally buy monitor, keyboard, and other components. Suppose we can add additional RAM. For example, it has only 8 GB. You can additional one more 8 GB and add to the server. Anyway, we have to specifically mention the hardware requirements. Next is cloud. Suppose you have no facility to keep a physical server in your library or campus, we can consider cloud server for your purpose. Different service providers give you server. We can hire from them. We can check their price. Cloud server means there is a server not in your premises. It may be located somewhere else, a remote place. You just hire and we pay them for the service. For example, Up Cloud. This is a cloud service provider. Google, Amazon, and Microsoft provide cloud services. See the pricing. Depends upon the machine. See the price. See, this is a very basic machine. 1 GB RAM memory, one CPU, 25 GB storage, 1 GB RAM, 25 GB storage, data transfer 1 TB, $5 per month. $5 means USD to INR. $5, 500 rupees per month. This is enough to maintain a website. Suppose you have a comparatively big collection of Koha, I mean records with Koha. Choose 8 GB, 160 GB storage, 5 TB transfer, $40 per month. $40 per month. About 3,000 rupees per month. Okay, we can buy server from the cloud services. We can install Koha there. In normal case, we buy a physical server and keep it in our library. In the case of cloud, we hire a virtual server. It is located somewhere else. We hire for our purpose. But suppose you have UPS backup and other things, it's better to maintain a physical server. About 50,000 or 60,000, you can buy a basic server. About 5 or 6 years, it will run without any problem. Then Koha release schedule. See, we have to know about its releasing schedule. Two major versions, they release every May and November month. Based on this release year and month, their version name also create. Every 6 months, a major version will come, and every month an update will come. What is a major version and update? A monthly update. For example, 20.05 is the latest version. It means 2022 May month, the latest version arrived. After 6 months, it will become 22.05.06. It means 6 monthly update it will receive. See here, 21.11.6. It means the previous version released in 2021 November. This is the sixth update. Update means a master version will come. Users install it and use it, and they find that some problems there. I mean, some little problems there. They report it to the developers. The developer solve the problem and package it into monthly update. When we update the system, the new updates receive into Koha installation. The old problems will go away. Okay, monthly, every month a bug fix release. Bugs means small problems with the existing software. They solve it and send it as updates. Then how to know these things? We have to visit the homepage of Koha frequently and check what are the changes. This is the Koha homepage, kohacommunity.org. In the news section, we can see which is the latest monthly update. They maintain 3 or 4 previous versions. For example, 22.056. This is the latest one. In this month, the new version will come, 22.11. Now, third week, they will, in normal case, third week, they will release a major version. This is the previous version. A new monthly update arrived. Okay. More update means more problems fixed. It's very mature and stable. If we click on the link, we can learn that what are the problems they fixed. Okay, which Koha version we have to follow? Stable version there, old stable version there, and old stable version there. and a beta unstable version is there. The latest version is very new one. Um, it does not, I mean, there will, after 3 or 5 or 6 months, it will get more stable. Old stable is ideal to install for your library purpose. Uh, it receive more monthly update because it released more months back. Most of the problems fixed. It can work very well. Choose old stable for Koha installation. When we install, we can mention which version we have to install. In the installation, when we choose the software repository, choose the version number. It will release 21.11 only. Okay, these are the things behind Koha version number. See, current Koha versions, uh, 20.055, 5 updates received. 21.11.11, 11 updates received. See the enhancements and bug fixes. See, Koha installation steps. First, we have to consult Koha wiki for Koha installation. First, go through it. Just search in Google. Suppose you want to install Koha on Ubuntu in Google. See the link to Koha wiki. See, very detailed installation step is there. First, they mention that which version of Ubuntu you have to select. See, Ubuntu 14.04 is deprecated. Then other things we have to care while installation. There's very in detail they mention. First, to go through the installation steps. And we can find many simply Koha installation manuals from many blogs. Anyway, consider Koha Wiki installation manual as the first source. Then you can follow other Koha blog. Okay, first you can install it in a test machine. There is a spare desktop machine is there, and install there and try to learn it there. Then suppose you have no spare machine, only single computer is there. You can make use a tool called VirtualBox to try to install Ubuntu is there inside VirtualBox. It does not disturb your existing operating system. Three methods of installation is there. Anyway, one is install using Debian Ubuntu packages. It means this is the easiest method for ordinary users. Three different installation manual is available. Second is JIT. JIT means it's a version numbering system. We can download directly from the source code repository. Developers and some advanced users make use this method. Then third is tarball method. Tarball means Koha already packed in a single files. We can install it from there, but not easy to install. Anyway, the first method is easy for beginners. Debian Ubuntu packages. Then update Koha regularly. Koha receive monthly updates. We have to apply the commands to apply the Linux Ubuntu commands to update both Ubuntu and Koha. Anyway, we regularly twice a month or twice in a week, we can apply the command. I will tell in detail how to make use these commands. Suppose if we do not apply the update commands, every new version, new changes will come in Koha database, also change, structure change. In long run, it may be difficult to update from old version to new version. Suppose you are working with the existing Koha installation, you want to know which version of Koha you are running. The about page, you can find the Koha version. You can also mention which operating system using there. Suppose you are in work, join a library, Koha installed a few years back. Nobody is there to help you, but you want to know which version of Koha is running there. Check the about page of Koha, see the version number is there. And many Koha users don't know which is the current version they are running. Suppose as a problem occurs, uh, somebody agreed to help you, they will to ask you which version of Koha you are running there. In such case, instead context, we have to know about the version. Then how to upgrade from very old version of Koha? Maybe the Koha running on Ubuntu 14.04, you installed it on 2014. We have we have to upgrade it to the latest version. But very old version to new version is not possible. Uh, Take the backup, install a new version of Koha and try to restore it. A smooth migration from very old version to new version is impossible. In many cases, it may fail. Suppose your Koha running, still running, old version of Koha still running, we can export book details, book details in mark format. Second export uses details in CSV format. Third export, book transaction details in KOC file, and install new Koha and import Koha book details in mark format. Second import pattern details in CSV format. Third import transaction details. In certain cases, uh, very old version to new version may work. Suppose you have a live DVD of old versions, you can uh, install it in a PC, upgrade from old version to near versions, and again upgrade to the near versions. How to request help from the Koha community? Suppose most of the library professionals depends on community help to run Koha. Any problem occurs, we can seek help from other volunteers and other Koha users. They are maybe already experienced such problems and they know how to solve it. Suppose if we prepare the description of the problem, first written it in a simple manner, and mention your Koha version, database version, and Ubuntu version. Then, if possible, copy the error message and and tell in detail, not much simple manner, write it and put it in the Facebook group or email discussion forum. Or these people are very busy. They have to understand the message without any much difficulties. Uh, Much possible detail should be there. They can easily understand the problem and give you a solution. See, these are the helpful resources. One is their homepage. Homepage contains everything where we can find very comprehensive documentation, user manual. See, each version, their user manual is there, very detailed. They mention every minute things in the user manual. In Koha Wiki, we can find technical details like how to install it on various Debian, Ubuntu, and how to migrate from some other commercial softwares. These things we can find in Koha Wiki, wiki.kohacommunity.org. Third is community newsletter. This is very, very informative. It's every month they release a newsletter. Find the newsletter is here. They also mention some tips and tricks. This is very useful. They collected from various blogs and company website. This is, if we follow it, very easy to manage many things using these tips and tricks. Then release notes. Each updates and major versions, they also provide a release note where we can find what are the new changes, what are the newly introduced features, everything we can find it in the release notes. Bexilla is it's a website where we can place if any further improvement or enhancement or any usability problems if we find, you can report there. The developers will notice it and they will fix it. For example, bugs reported the last 24 hours. See, this is a bug. Bug means small problems. I mean software errors or some problems with the source code. We can create an account here. We can report anything. Missing table from batch.mode.pl when coming from a BIP record. He reported this problem. He described the problem here. Someone answer, a developer give a solution for the problem. If this solution they will release with the next Koha updates. Everything is public. Even a user can contact with the developer and they can place their concern in their notice. Koha Facebook group is there. In Facebook, just search Koha users. This is the official Facebook group in Koha group in Facebook. Koha users. To join there, we have to, they ask some questions. can check the old posters. Mahesh, you can also consult Mahesh blog. He tried many things and post it as a blog post here. One more blog I maintain here, Linux Halwa, where we can find many Linux-based posters. I face many problems while when working in the university. I solve it and post it as a blog post in my blog. I think these posts are helpful for you. Okay. See, in conclusion, we need good homework for Koha implementation. We have to learn a lot and we have to try ourselves these things. Uh, Libraries need a good technical support to maintain Koha. We have to make sure that then only implement it. Either we are ready to make use the community support. Otherwise, we have to seek a commercial support. As a Koha user, we have more commitment. We are ready to help others. Others found a problem. If we know the solution, we are ready to help them. And in Koha user groups, we need to answer others' problems if we know it. Um, if, if we are ready to help others, we will notice in the group. Suppose if we face any problem, we can post there. Others are ready to help us. Then learning and sharing culture is necessary. Open source field is drastically change everything day by day. We have to grab these things and we have to learn these things. Then only we can survive it. Any questions? Please feel free to ask. I know it's a lengthy session. I will share the PPT. Tomorrow onwards, we will start hands-on training. Our cloud instance is ready. Tomorrow, I will send you the links to, username and password to access the cloud instance of Koha. Tomorrow, we start hands-on training.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Okay, don't
Thank
worry.
you.
If any questions, you can put it in the WhatsApp group.
Anybody want to ask?
Please, please, please. Any questions in the message box? I will also share one Linux book, an ebook, and a Koha book today in the group. If possible, take a printout. The whole thing is very. Um, I mention many things in simple manner. If you take a printout, very useful for you.
Sir, Kanchan Pal is asking how to install Linux.
Okay. Um, Install. I think you are a beginner in Linux. Suppose you are totally unaware about Linux installation. First, we have to check in YouTube regarding to find some. For example, you want to install X Ubuntu 22.04. Start. Okay. First, see some videos first and get some confidence, receive some confidence, and then you can try it in a spare machine. First, we have to learn how to prepare a bootable pen drive. First, to prepare a bootable pen drive to install Linux and go through some videos and how to do it. And you can try it in a spare machine. Don't try it on your computer running the existing software. Otherwise, you make use virtual box to try Ubuntu installation in your existing PC. Anyway, trial and error method is the best method. No other no other ideal method. Uh, we cannot finish success in the first instance. We have to try many times. Anyway, first find some video tutorials in YouTube and watch it very many times and try yourself.
Anyone else? Anyone else want to ask anything regarding today's workshop session? I think, sir, we should conclude it now.
Okay, okay, sir.
I know. We should conclude it. Okay, participant, we will see you tomorrow. Next session on Koha library management system. Okay, nice session. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming this important session on Koha. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Anyone
sir.
want to ask anything? No one? Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, sir. Thank you.